Hello, and welcome back to Hump Day Hormones. We are celebrating our 1 year anniversary.
Yay! I could
Happy
not believe
anniversary to
it.
us. I feel like we
No.
should have some of those like poppers.
We should.
I
We
know
should
they
have
have some.
really gone all out with all the things.
I know. Well, I know we have some around here in the clinic because it seems like every time somebody has a birthday, we're busting out a
Yes.
popper. But
Yes.
anyways, just
We've done this for a year. It's crazy.
yes, I know. So today is when this drops will be October 29th,
Yeah.
2025. And I was looking back and our very first episode was October 29th.
Yes.
Yes.
I know. And I went back and listened to that episode a few weeks ago.
Oh, I can't.
It's so cute though. I mean, it's really so good. And I love how, I mean, we really just kind of started out just like so excited, just like passionate about doing all this and didn't really know where it would go or what we would even like continue to talk about. But
Yeah.
here we are a year later, still like talking about hormones and everything.
And I'm not even I mean, I feel like we've just gotten started. Like we're not
Same.
out of topics or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the perfect way to end Menopause Awareness Month and
Yeah.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month is like, and happy anniversary to us.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So fun.
I know. And we were just saying before we turned on record and on our camera, like we made this YouTube channel last week and I don't know. I mean, we are currently looking for a new marketing manager, social media person. I mean, someone to really kind of take hold of all that because I realize that that's what needs to be done. But in the meantime, it's me doing it. And so
Somebody can help us.
it's really kind of funny. I mean, we'll pay you, but it's really kind of funny. Like, I guess it's set up where if you follow our YouTube channel, I get an email. And I told Courtney I got one email. We have one YouTube follower. So
Okay.
unless somehow I'm not getting an email every single time. But anyway, I just thought it was funny. And then it's like, we don't really care. I mean, we're not here to like be internet famous. Clearly with my dirty hair left over from flag football in the rain yesterday.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, yeah, we're not trying to get internet famous. We just started this because we love talking about it with our patients and we love getting y'all the info out there. So,
Yeah, it's been such a helpful tool, I think, for patients. I mean, I've had so many people come back and tell me and be like, hey, I listened to, this episode about testosterone. 'Cause we were
yes,
testosterone and it like all starts to make sense.
I love it.
So,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, and I've like literally, I have learned so much.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And been like so happy along the way and been so mad along the way. It's been a really good growth experience. So, yeah, maybe we're going to get on into year 2 here. And I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
The sky's the limit. More than one YouTube follower.
Right.
You just never know. So,
right.
whether you've been here from the beginning, which I guess the only person would be like my mom, thank you. Yeah. Or you just found us last week. We just want to thank you. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't do this if nobody was listening, but I would still be reading at home in my bed about it. So y'all might as well just know what we're learning. But
Yeah.
I just want, to do kind of a look back. I remember being nervous and excited and wondering, like, is anybody going to listen? And kind of going through that, like, well, who cares? It'll still be fun.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like that we've had a lot of information get out there and some hormone stories and just kind of getting patients to trust us and really dig into all that information. But I just, I wanted to kind of look back. And so I was just literally scrolling back through our episodes. So this is episode 46. So there's been 45 episodes before this. And I was looking back. I mean, we have covered so much. Like,
We have.
I know. I mean, obviously we've done like the bare bones basics. Like who are we? What is menopause? What is perimenopause? What is puberty?
What's all the like individual
Yes.
hormones and their roles in the body. I mean, how hormones play into other medical conditions and your overall health, like heart disease and dementia and osteoporosis and diabetes and high cholesterol and like all those things.
Yes.
Kind of dig into all that.
We've done PCOS and abnormal uterine bleeding, genitourinary syndrome. We've had like guest speakers on. We've had all the partners here at the Women's Clinic on. I've had my best friends on. We did an episode like Girls Weekend at the Lake.
Yeah.
It's
We've
just,
had Meg Green on twice.
I know. I love her. We've had Julie Turner from the High Risk Breast Center.
Love her too.
Yes. I mean, and we've had Pelvic Health Girls. I mean, we've done a lot. And then we've done like ADHD. People talk about that one a lot, or menopause and muffin tops. We did breast cancer with Julie. And then I see questions all the time on social media, like even here in Little Rock on like this page called Little Rock Power Women about, you know, where do I go to get my hormones? What does a hormone workup look like? What are my options? We've done all of those episodes sort of individually. One of my favorites was with Dr. Cope.
Yes.
He took us on a look back of like he's been in practice pre-Women's Health Initiative study when hormones were like everybody was taking them, like you need to be on them kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he lived through the Women's Health Initiative and all those changes.
I loved that one.
Yes.
With you. I thought that was so cool to see pre-WHI, post-WHI, what were all their feelings and stuff going on during that, you know, because they were all like, yeah, this isn't true. Like, this is this
is
message,
not what I'm seeing.
Yes, the message that was put out on the media did not like match what was actually going on with patients. So that was super cool. I really liked that.
I know. I mean, really, we've done so much. And I think now we're almost at the point where when somebody has a question, I'm like, oh, we have an episode on that. Or, oh, we talk about that in this episode. So
yeah.
I love that. And I reference our podcast all the time on like Little Rock Power Women.
Yeah.
People are asking a question. I'm like, listen to this. It's a whole hour-long answer.
And we're not on here. And I mean, you know, if you've been listening, we're not on here just like giving our opinions on things. Like we've dug into research and continue to do that and find really good, like evidence-based practice that supports, you know, how we feel about hormones and how we practice hormones and menopause and everything else that goes along with it.
I know. I mean, yeah, sometimes people are like, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, it's not just like what I think. I mean, what I think and what I see in my patients is a useful, relevant thing. And this is what I'm seeing all day. So yeah, there's some of that clinical experience that comes into it. But really what I think and what I do and prescribe and all that is always going to be based off of like what we have evidence for and what is safe and what is, you know, scientific and supported in the medical community and agreed on by other specialty providers. I'm big on that. And we're about to do this head to toe menopause series, and we're going to have like other local providers. So I'm big on that. Like we all have to be on the same page and we have to agree. I can't be like crazy hormone lady over here giving everybody hormones and then everybody else in town is like, she's crazy. You don't need to be on those.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, we still have some family practice doctors in town that will tell patients like, I had a patient the other day. They're like, you need to come off of your hormones because you're a thyroid cancer survivor. And why would you take those hormones? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have like absolutely no basis for what they're coming at that from.
No.
You know, you have to do what makes you comfortable as a patient. But like, yeah, if we don't know what we're talking about, then maybe we should listen to Hump Day Hormones.
That's right. That's right.
So share this with your PCPs.
Yes.
But yeah, I've learned so much along the way. And yeah, it's one of those things where I'm sure this is what we spent all weekend at flag football with my little boy. They made it all the way to the flag football Super Bowl. And their team dance, might I add.
So proud of them.
So cool. So cool. So, but I mean, it's like them. They had to practice and work so hard. And like you think about a professional football player where you just get to the point where you're like, come at me. Like, I know what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. And I think it's fun to be in that place. And so
Yeah.
I love getting to like learn more. And it seems like every time you
Yeah.
like dig into a topic, there's one little nuanced thing that you're like, oh, well, that's good to know. And it
Yeah.
just may make all the difference for somebody.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool to like apply stuff like that to patients and then see the results from it, you know? It's like,
Yes.
oh, that worked.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like I have a whole like degree. Like I can lead a class now, or really Courtney, you probably can. She's way better at this than me on this like AV equipment.
Oh, girl, you have surpassed me on that. Like, I feel like I came up on that a long time ago.
And these like website logins.
Oh
I
my
mean, there's so many different little like sites you have to do for this and edit this and upload this. And then, we learned how to use video camera and you know, these
microphones. Our first few episodes we had on these like little cute flip-on mics.
I think they were like $19.99.
Yeah, we're just starting super basic.
Uh-huh.
Like, let's just start there and then work our way up. And now we have these like cute little fancy mics.
Oh, I want to get, you know, when your sponsor makes like the little square thing that goes around it. Like, I feel like we need one of those. But yeah, we've learned about more than just hormones. We've learned about audiovisual equipment, podcast production. So,
yeah.
But that's goals for second year for me, honestly, is to like step this up a level. Let's get almost like a kid in sports. Let's get some one-on-one coaching. Let's get serious. Let's get a, you know, really good people behind us that back us and support what we do. So
absolutely.
we're gonna have big things in the second year. But and then, you know, it's like a tour down memory lane, and it's fun. Like we went on the local news.
Yeah, we did that twice.
I know.
That was so fun.
And we've done like little local menopause meetings. Yeah. We've gone to like lunch and learns, like the Clinton Foundation here in Little Rock. We did one. We sponsored a viewing of the M Factor, the big menopause documentary that came out this past year. We sponsored a viewing at this big theater in Hot Springs and did like a Q&A session. So,
and I think that they are like Tamsin Fidel is coming out with a perimenopause one. So, I mean, we need to like kind of circle back around and do like this perimenopause kind of viewing thing too. So I don't know what it's called. Maybe I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Something like the M Factor, but like about perimenopause.
Yeah. The Peri-M Factor. Now, I mean, I don't really know the official title of it, but yeah, it's like that, but for perimenopause.
Yes.
And I think we may try to look into like what it would be like to get a public viewing of that. And
that was really fun.
I know it's just crazy, but we, our goal is still exactly the same as when it started, just to give you all real like evidence-based information. And my biggest thing is like, how like I just want women to feel empowered as they're going through this journey, not just like, oh, what is happening to my body, but like I know exactly what's happening and I know exactly how to support myself through that, or I know exactly the right people to ask to help me. I think that's what I just want people to like feel confident that they have somebody that can advocate for them and that they're not just like left, you know, meandering their way through this all by themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
So anywho, so today we're just gonna, I mean, that's what this episode is. It's just kind of a walk down memory lane. And then we were gonna do some patient questions. Because we asked people to submit their like specific questions. And so we've got about 5 or 6 of those that we want to talk about. But I think first we were gonna say, like, what was your favorite episode?
Yeah. That's so hard. I really did like this most recent one that we did that, you know, just kind of helps empower and educate women, help them like understand what's going on. What are your symptoms? How can you talk to your provider about it? I think, you know, just like we were saying, like that's our goal really behind all of this is just to educate and empower. And those episodes I just love so much. Oh, it's hard to pick a favorite.
I
What's your
know.
favorite?
I think, like, in a selfish way, my favorite ones are the ones that I'm like, what I'm learning so much as
Yeah.
I'm right. And so that is definitely like adrenal, gut, liver,
Yeah.
like that whole gut liver connection thing that we just did recently. It's like,
That was your jam for
ah,
sure. I
and then
loved that.
you're so just like, why? I feel like info was withheld or not taught, in medical school. And so I really enjoy kind of figuring all that out. But yeah, I thought that was super fun, and I love kind of touching on the functional medicine side of
Mhm.
things. So, yeah, I thought that was fun just selfishly because I got to learn a lot. And then I loved like having my best friends on. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're doing something that's super important to you, but then if you like drag your people into it,
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
it's just fun.
It
So,
is. And we were looking at some of our like top downloaded episodes from this past year. Menopause and Muffin Talks is a big one,
yeah.
which, of course, like, why wouldn't it be?
I know.
That's one of the biggest concerns and complaints during menopause is this weight gain in the midsection that you can't do nothing about, nothing's helping, whatever. So,
Yeah.
and then the one about supplements, which we took a deep dive in the
Yes.
supplement world.
Yeah, that kind of
Those
took
two
on
episodes.
a whole new. It was like, let's talk about some supplements real quick, and then it was like, we're gonna need 2 episodes for this.
Uh-huh.
So,
Mhm.
so yeah, and then I think too that one's a little bit skewed because my mom has told me numerous times that she's listened to it on repeat because because she was like writing things
That's
down.
okay, Cece. We'll take it.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's truly top downloaded or if that's just my mom numerous times. But and then ADHD scored rated whatever pretty high on these metrics.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of those things where a lot of people were like, "Wait, what? There's a connection there? Let me listen to this and find out more."
Uh-huh.
I think it was more just maybe out of curiosity, people
Yeah.
wanted to know.
Yeah. I like
Um,
that one.
and then, I mean, I know we're supposed to be talking about good and happy things, top downloaded, but I want to talk about least downloaded because I think that y'all,
Need to go back and download it and listen to it.
yeah. And that was the one that was like cardiovascular. It was like the title was like move your ass and,
Wear your seatbelt.
wear your seatbelt.
This
Yeah.
is what I think that episode, I feel like, was a turning point for us. I think we were starting to get super comfortable on the microphones, and
Yeah.
we just finally just laid it out like, move your ass.
And that came out of my mouth. Like, I bet you wear your seatbelt when you're driving in your car. Why wouldn't you take your hormones when you're going through menopause? Because they just have very similar, like, like survival rates and things like that. Like, you improve your overall lifetime, wellness by this percent when you wear your seatbelt and
Yeah.
you do it with hormones too. So, but yeah, we got a little sassy, but I don't know. It's just the
Yes.
title. People were like, what? But it's so good. It's all about like cardiovascular disease and protection with hormones. And
Yeah, I mean, because just a reminder, heart disease is the number one killer in women. It's not breast cancer.
yeah,
Even if you survive breast cancer, you're more likely to die of heart disease. I mean, we can, go down, and we went down all of this with all of that.
and people are never understand like, wait, estrogen protects my heart. Yes, it
Uh-huh.
very much does. And in the same way your seatbelt protects you when you're driving, But and I think maybe people saw that title and thought we were actually talking about wearing your seatbelt. I do want you to do that, but it's about,
Or maybe that we were just going to talk about like exercising the whole time.
yeah.
Maybe us. Nobody wants to just hear that.
Yeah.
Just eat healthy and exercise over and over.
Uh-huh. But yeah, it's a good one. Y'all go check it out if you haven't. It was got the least amount of love. So let's go fix that. But
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll retitle it and we're gonna do head to toe. We'll get to the heart. I'm sure we'll mention all those things again.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. And then I think one that got a lot of people talking, like around town and online, like yesterday at the Super Bowl party. Some moms were talking to me about the racial disparities in healthcare episode.
Yeah.
it was one of the moms where she was like, hell yeah, girl, like way to like branch out there and just, kind of do that. And I was like, well, I didn't know if people would be receptive to it, but I know Dr. Jones is passionate about that. And so, but yeah, it got a lot of good combo going.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's amazing. I mean, she was just phenomenal on there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like she was the one that was kind of the most hesitant about coming on. And I mean, she dominated. Like, she was so good.
I know. She's just a quiet little force like that. Like, you'll think she's, like in meetings and stuff. You'll think she's just kind of sitting there quietly, and then she'll, drop some knowledge bomb on you. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's just kind of that way. She's really sort of sneaky and stealth from behind, but yeah, she always kills it. But and then I thought this was fun, just a little listener love. So I get emails and messages all the time, and I don't feel like I ever I write them back personally, but I don't feel like we ever talk about them on here. And then I've saved them all on our email, and so it's really fun to go back and read those, because you're like, oh, I just feel like it hits different like later, maybe when it did the first time you read it.
Yes.
But and then so I wanted to just read a couple of these, and one of them I'm just gonna read like straight up off my phone because I didn't want to have to retype it on here.
Yeah.
But one of them says, I binged your podcast on my drives this past week. I found them enjoyable and informative. Thanks for making them. And this was the same lady who offered up her husband to come and help us with some AV stuff. Like she was like, this is at the beginning, and it's just cute. It's cute to have a little community of women who are like, I got you, girl.
Yeah. And I think that she, if I'm remembering right, I think she is one that came to the M Factor viewing.
I think so.
Yeah.
So sweet. And then I've got this other email I just want to read because it's so cute.
Okay.
And it says, ladies, I cannot thank you both enough for this podcast. I woke up one day at 41 and my body said, hold my beer. One of my best friends recommended this podcast to me. We obviously share our TMI stories, and that includes all things hormonal. She's a patient at the women's clinic and has finally convinced me to reach out for help. I legit feel like y'all are talking about my life, hormone problems, and listening to these episodes with you is a release. Definitely makes my job easier and improves my anxiety because I feel like I'm focused on what you're saying. I feel like everything being described is in these episodes is me to a T, and I need help ASAP. I even called and left a message to schedule a consult as soon as I put the car in park. Like, I love that. Like, I love that. And this person has come, and she is a patient now. And so, I think it's so fun to help people and make people feel all of a sudden for the first time really heard, maybe when they haven't been before. So it's fun to get those emails. I just wanted to share some of that.
It's fun to get new patients that have listened to the podcast because it's been shared with them from like their friend or their sister or their mom or whoever. Yeah. Like I'll bring them in and, we'll kind of sit down and talk and all the things. And they're like, I know, I've been listening to the podcast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you.
I know. And I think, yes, I've learned more about like adrenal function and gut, liver, detox, hormone pathways. I mean, sure, we've learned like more science, but I think too, what I have learned is that women really are want this information. They want it to be clear and reliable and concise and honest, and they want this information about their health. And a lot of them have felt dismissed and confused, and so they're just looking for someone to listen, truly listen to their symptoms and take them seriously and help evaluate and walk through that. I mean, I think that's half of the battle in hormone care is just listening. Most of the time you can almost tell what's going on just by somebody's symptoms.
It's so true.
Yeah. I mean, we like labs to rule out other sneaky things that mimic that, but yeah, I mean, just being a good listener.
Yeah. It's literally like the most rewarding job, I feel like. I
Yeah.
mean, you just come in, you're able to like help these women during some of the hardest times of their lives, that they've just been kind of left out to just age and not do it well and don't really have anybody to like help and support them. And it's so cool to be able to be like one of those people on their team to help them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into like some patient questions.
Okay.
I kind of went through them all, and we got 2 questions basically that revolved around hormones and postpartum depression. So I'm just gonna kind of like lump those together. But first question is, can you explain the hormone fluctuations freshly postpartum and what we should be doing to feel our best? And then kind of the second part of that is, why after having a baby, even like a year or 2 after having a baby, or are my hormones still off? So
Yeah.
we're going to kind of break that up and talk about what happens right after you have a baby, what you can do to support yourself. And then, okay, what about 2 years down the road? I still am not feeling right. So
that's right. So it's several like hormone kind of things that go into it. It's not just one, but starting with estrogen and progesterone. So during pregnancy, these hormones are super high, the highest that they'll ever be in your life during pregnancies. Progesterone can be up to 100 times higher than it is in the luteal phase.
See, here's an example. When I was writing this episode,
Yeah.
100 times higher. Like, I knew it was high.
Yeah.
I'm an OB. I have been for 15 years, but like, I knew progesterone was high. It's progestation. It supports the pregnancy, all those things. But like, I don't know that I ever realized it was 100 times higher.
We were talking the other day and we were like, we just want to check like a pregnant girl's progesterone because it's probably 2,000 or something.
Yeah, I know. And you're like, I just want to know, because we don't ever do that. We do it in the first trimester to see if we need to like, support them and give them progesterone in their first trimester. But I'm not checking a 28-week lady's progesterone.
Yeah, we should have checked mine whenever I was pregnant with the twins, with all those things going on.
5,000.
Oh my, yes. And that's why like some people feel their best when they're pregnant, like from a mood and stuff standpoint. So that makes sense. Kind of like your hormones are up there.
Yes.
And then within a day or 2 after you have your baby, those hormones just plummet off a cliff.
Yeah. If you graph it out, you literally go up, and then it's just like, whoop, 24 hours, like sudden drop, like a roller coaster, when you're going on that almost where you feel weightless drop.
Yeah. And we've talked about before, our brains don't like those drops like that. Our brains and our bodies like this steady, stable hormone production going on. So that big drop, really kind of lines up with like mood swings, baby blues, anxiety, all of those kind of symptoms.
I know. And we've just normalized that in the world, right? We just, oh, that's just baby blues. Hell no, it's my hormones taking a freaking nosedive.
Yes.
Like, call it what it is. It's my hormone withdrawal. Yes, it gives you the baby blues, and some people might level off after that, but some people might not. And so also, like, could we be easier? Could we take a less steep slope on the way down? Can we bunny slope our way down instead of jumping off of the cliff? There are ways we can support people through that and a more gradual decline. Your progesterone doesn't need to stay 100 times higher than the luteal phase, but it needs to come down. But can we more gradually do that? And so we have ways that we can help with that.
I almost wish that was standard of care.
I know. I feel like it should be. Yeah. But again, like, I feel like half the problem is that nobody knows what's even happening. We've been calling it baby blues.
And I think that kind of just makes it sound like, oh, it's just all in her head.
Right.
She's just anxious and she's tired from having a baby.
Which is all true.
It's all true, but then you have these major hormone things going on, just like in perimenopause and, all that. It's not all in your head.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then prolactin, that's the one that makes you make milk. So you're going to lactate, but prolactin increases to support breastfeeding, and it can have a calming effect on most people. But when it's persistently high, then it suppresses your ovaries. So that's why most of the time when you're breastfeeding, you don't have a period, because your prolactin is so high, it's essentially creating this negative feedback loop and shutting down your ovaries. But when you shut down the ovaries, you don't make as much estrogen or testosterone. So then we feel like somebody who's estrogen and testosterone depleted. So that worsens your low energy. So again, yes, you're tired because you stayed up with your newborn. You're tired because you're trying to breastfeed, but also the fact that you are breastfeeding is suppressing your ovaries and you're making less testosterone, and that makes you tired. And so, it's just everything's kind of working together. And then we see that all the time. I feel like an example is that people have vaginal dryness. And it's like, why do we have the same almost like vaginal atrophy, pain with sex postpartum as we do in menopause? And it's like, well, it's all the same phenomenon. And that is that you shut down your estrogen.
Yeah.
And you get hot flashes. I don't know if anybody's had a baby and like, that's
just the night sweat.
Yeah.
It's like waking up just drenched.
Yes. That's sweat. Like, I knock on all the things around me have not started having much of that. I've had a couple like in the past couple years, but postpartum is the biggest time that I can remember doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then oxytocin, that is kind of the bonding hormone, the love hormone, everybody calls it. But oxytocin surges during delivery and then skin to skin contact with the baby. That is kind of an evolutionary biological way that helps us to bond with our baby. And then it is going to go up when you're breastfeeding as well. And so if you have low sleep, which everyone with a newborn does, and stress, which everyone in a newborn does, then it can kind of blunt that effect of the oxytocin release. And so if you don't have as much oxytocin, then you're left feeling kind of disconnected and lonely, which are both sort of hallmarks of like postpartum depression. I think, when people ask me, how do I know if it's postpartum depression or just like, real depression? And I feel like the hallmark there is you can't bond with your baby.
Yeah.
Your baby is like crying and you love your baby, but you're not like totally connected like that. It's like a hard thing to describe, especially to people who don't have babies. But it's that connection. And if we're blunting our oxytocin spikes, then
get some high cortisol.
I know. And cortisol, come on. Cortisol is just always a problem all the time. But you're stressed. You're not sleeping. You're rising your cortisol. You're stressed. You're rising your cortisol. And so the emotional and physical stress of delivery, recovery, newborn care, they keep cortisol levels high.
Yeah.
And then chronic elevation of cortisol worsens anxiety, causes you to sleep bad. You're already sleeping bad because of the newborn, but if your cortisol's high all the time, that gets into that, causes blood sugar dips and fatigue. And then it, it's kind of the progesterone steal. We talk about that all the time. Your adrenals are overproducing all this cortisol, so we're underproducing progesterone.
Right.
So we've further worsened our dive off the cliff with progesterone.
Yeah.
So it makes sense when you know all this, that it's like, that's why I feel bad. It's not just the baby blues.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's very like justifying and helpful to people whenever I just know these kinds of things.
I know. Well, and again, one of those things where you're like, make it make sense. Why does nobody tell me this? That progesterone is one of the biggest things that supports thyroid conversion of inactive T4 to the active T3. And so again, just one more swift kick in the ass of like, now you don't have as much progesterone. And also now you're not converting your thyroid hormones as well. So you
Let's
can,
make you more tired,
yes,
kill your metabolism some more.
yes. And you can see women go into like truly like a thyroid, hormone crisis after delivery. That is not common, but in small ways, we are definitely going to be interfering with their conversion to T3 and energy and all the things. So, but so what can you do? I think was the so y'all. I don't answer a question. This is why I run behind in clinic, because I don't answer a question very quickly. But I think the second part, we're still in the same question.
Just have to give an explanation, which is why we have this podcast.
Yeah.
That's what we need it for.
I know I'm going to be referring people to this, but how to help your body and mind feel its best postpartum.
Yeah.
And so, like, what can you do? I mean, I like kind of don't even want to say this out loud because it is an annoying, but prioritize your sleep. I mean, really, like you have a newborn, but as best you can.
Yeah.
Like just keep that. Obviously, we know that sleep is important, but like it is where your hormones get to like kind of take a reset. And I think the biggest deal with sleep is just maybe getting some like regularity to it. Just getting some kind of pattern. You don't want to have these all over the place patterns. That's what's really bad for your cortisol. And so if we can just have some sort of pattern. So like if you and your husband or whatever can come up with like a plan for like, okay, you've got this day, I've got this day. I mean, maybe that would be helpful.
Yeah.
You can get someone to come watch the baby for a couple hours and you can know that that's going to be when you get to take a nap or, somehow like prioritize that. Like make it just as important as like you've got to take a shower and you've got to feed your baby. You've got to sleep.
You have to. And you have to ask for help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy and hard to try to do this on your own. I mean, you have to ask for help.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is, I mean, eat well, nourish yourself, And so let's not be eating just a bunch of junk, which the first couple of weeks, it's kind of easy to do that because people are usually bringing you food and like baked goods and all that kind of stuff. But start focusing on like getting some good protein in. That's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. It helps support healing. Some good healthy fats helps your brain health and your hormones. Kind of looking at things rich in like iron and B vitamins and magnesium. Those can all be helpful kind of in healing and energy and sleep and hydration. So lots and lots of water, even some electrolyte replacements. If you're breastfeeding, that can be super helpful because you need it for that milk production.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I love that this is on the list, but support your gut health. Your gut microbiome, like we talked about on those episodes, affects your estrogen metabolism. Your gut is where you produce almost all of your serotonin. And so add in maybe some fermented food if you can stand it. That's not my thing, but or just at least some probiotics and some fibers so that you make sure that you're doing what you can for your gut health.
Right.
And then know that baby blues are happening because of all those other things that we just talked about. But baby blues are normal in that you can't help it. Those hormone things are just happening there. You cannot help that. But if you're sad or irritable or have anxiety that's either getting worse or it's not getting better kind of after that 2-week mark, then yeah, maybe you need to have like an actual appointment and talk about it with somebody. It's not your fault. You're not a personal failure. Like, I don't know. I think it's okay to talk to somebody about it. And I think the sooner you do that, the better. So that we can help you before you just totally feel so disconnected. And then obviously my recommendation is take some progesterone. And we have a regimen for how we do that. I mean, there's not like, you're not going to look it up in the pharmacopoeia and find like this regimen, because it is something that's still kind of being studied. There's some FDA approved IV versions of allopregnanolone, which is basically a progesterone metabolite. So we know that it works. We know how to do that. But like I said, just gradually stepping down the progesterone can be helpful. And then, yeah, if you're still not feeling right and you want to come in, I mean, maybe some labs or some things to check would be like your thyroid, your ferritin, or your iron panel, iron storage, vitamin D, B12, folate, and then of course some hormones. I think it's okay, if you're 1 week postpartum and you come in asking us to check those things. I mean, maybe we will. I mean, maybe there's a compelling enough reason we need to. But, if I think for sure, if you're 6 weeks out and we're still feeling bad, then we need to kind of be doing those. So, and then I think as important as it is to tell somebody what to do is to tell them what not to do.
Right.
I mean, yeah, don't diet aggressively. We all want to lose weight postpartum, but don't go on some like crash weird diet. Try to just eat consistently, and more protein and things like that are going to be more helpful for you, and then for your baby and milk production and stuff like that too. And then I think, yeah, the biggest thing is not just assuming that this is what being a new mom is like, that it has to be hard and it has to feel bad and
super stressed and anxious, and like you don't get to sleep and all of that.
Yeah. So ask for help.
Sure.
If you don't get the right answers or feel heard, ask for help a different place. That was one of our really good episodes too, was mental health. And we had Arkansas Reproductive Therapy on, and they do a lot with like postpartum. They do a lot with like infertility depression, and then they do a lot with like anxiety depression postpartum. So they're an awesome resource. Or like obviously your PCP or any medical provider should be a resource for that. Your OB. I mean, your OB was just there for you delivering your baby. So
there were a couple of things that I just remember like postpartum that have always kind of stuck out with me. Somebody said like, it took your body 9 months to grow this baby. Give your body some time to kind of get back down, to your normal weight. And then just like postpartum and newborn care, especially after we had our twins, we knew we would need all the help.
Yeah.
We kind of just made it known, like, if you want to come over, I need you to do a load of laundry or do some dishes or pick up or play with our 4-year-old, or, I mean, do something else, like,
do not come here and expect me to entertain you.
That's right. Like, yes, you can help the babies all you want, but like, help me do some other things too. And I think just kind of laying that foundation from the get-go. I mean, everybody was super helpful and they wanted to help, but they just had to be told what to do. And so I just did that. And that was so nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great. And most people, if they're like, love you enough that they want to come and see and hold your babies, then they love you enough to want to do something. But I think it's like you said, people just don't know. It's like when you're going to someone's house, you're like, just tell me what to bring. Like, I want you to straight tell me.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't just say, hey, bring whatever. That doesn't ever end well. You get like 14 bottles of wine,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, and then I think that the final part of that was, well, what happens if it's been 1 to 2 years and I still don't feel good? I mean, I think that there's maybe some things that go into that. Like, are you still breastfeeding? Like, do we still have maybe some of the hormone dysfunction that comes from breastfeeding?
Right.
Did you get on birth control? And like birth control pills, for example, shut down your ovaries. Or at that point, I think you definitely deserve a workup. Like, do you have an undiagnosed like thyroid problem or, some other kind of thing going on? But I think if you're, 1 to 2 years out, we don't just need to be rocking along calling it postpartum depression. We really need to be looking into that.
Yes, for sure.
So, and then next question was, what are your suggestions for sleep? And do you ever use cognitive behavioral therapy? I think, just off the cuff, you asked me, what do you do for sleep? I'm like, progesterone.
That's right.
I mean,
And if one doesn't work, up it.
that's right. I
Say
mean,
more.
I think obviously progesterone is the hormone answer for that question. Really probably needs to be oral progesterone to really get those effects from the GABA and all that. But,
Mhm.
and then I think from a more practical standpoint, I mean, it's all of this stuff that kind of is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like
Mhm.
keep your bedtime consistent. Like our body loves a rhythm. And I mean, this is I don't know, maybe even like almost offensive to some people, but like think about how you sleep train a toddler.
Yep.
We're going to give them some milk and read them a story and turn off the lights and,
Right.
say their prayer and go to bed.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really sort of the same thing. I mean, we are adults, but our brain still craves that, like, okay, I know what's coming up. I know what I'm doing. And so getting yourself a good little nighttime routine, whatever that is for you. And like, man, I am like talking to myself here. That probably routine shouldn't be to doom scroll your social media or talk about the most anxiety provoking thing that's happened in your day
Right.
right before bed. So I mean, ideally if we could, like, an hour before bed, just put our phone on silent, do not disturb, whatever, and put that away. All that blue light from your phone blocks melatonin that you need to get into that rhythm.
Yeah. Keep your room cool. That's definitely a big thing as you are going through hormone changes. But also like perimenopause and menopause, you're probably having vasomotor symptoms. So let's just kind of start with keeping it cool. But then the flip side of that is keep your feet warm. I know
I like
there's
that.
some evidence behind that like helping you fall asleep and stay asleep.
I don't know. I think about being all snuggled up
I
in a blanket
know.
in a cold room. So, and then
Yes.
getting morning sunlight. We've talked about that before with like the cortisol stuff, but which my version of this is I open my sunroof in the morning, or like the
Yeah.
last part.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not what they mean here, but I cannot go
Just be
just
driving to work with the sun's
exactly.
coming
I
up.
can't just bask in the sunlight in the morning because I don't have that kind of job, but
Yeah.
I can open the glass on my moonroof, sunroof, whatever you call it.
There you go.
But that resets that circadian rhythm and that kind of melatonin thing. So I think if you're thinking about cognitive behavioral therapy, that's more like where like you try to have control of your thoughts. So,
Mhm.
it's more of a on purpose, I'm going to retrain the way my brain thinks about sleep. And I think for people who've been perimenopausal, menopausal, gotten some really crappy sleep,
Yeah.
then you almost, your brain starts to say like, well, I mean, this isn't going to work. I'm going to lay here in bed and I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. So it's retraining
Yeah.
all of that. And so some of the things we already listed fall into that category. Obviously, if we could use cognitive behavioral therapy, it would be like the gold standard. Like
Mhm.
it works as well in studies as sleep medications in the short term and then better long term.
Yeah.
So they've studied this. Obviously, we know it works. If your brain can figure out how to do that, then long term it's better because it retrains your brain and your habits. So that would be like if you're laying in bed and you cannot fall asleep, get out of your bed. Like your bed is supposed to be for sleep and sex only. So you're not supposed to like lay there and doom scroll your phone or, read a book in your bed. You're supposed to get up out of your bed and go maybe to your couch or wherever until you feel more tired, like read your book. And then if you feel tired, get in your bed and go to
Sure.
sleep. And
Sure.
so, that kind of stuff. And then getting that consistent time and wind down ritual. And then you can do things like breath work, or, you do these like inhale for a count of 5, hold it for 3, exhale for 7,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Or I hear people talk about that they will close their eyes and imagine like that they're on a hike and everything that they see. You're just like getting your mind to totally like focus on one thing. Or journaling. You're just really trying to like mind dump, get all that stuff out. Or progressive muscle relaxation. Like where you're laying there thinking, okay, I can feel that my face is relaxed. I can feel my shoulders relaxed. You just feel yourself like relaxing more and more. But yeah, I think that pairing stuff like that with a dark room and no screen and magnesium and progesterone, I think
Sleep is just all the things.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. And I'm more one of those people that's not going to be like, oh, I'm sorry that you're not sleeping. Have you thought about making your room colder and turning off your phone? I'm more I'm more one of those people that's like, girl, you need some progesterone and some magnesium and put down your phone and
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think of those as like the obvious. Like, well, obviously you're not sleeping with your lights and your TV on, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But I guess, for some people maybe wanting to walk through least invasive first, then sure. Okay, next question. I have not started using hormones and I just turned 60. What are my options? I keep hearing between 50 and 60, but what happens at 60?
That is right.
I love that question.
Boomers should be pissed about it, right?
I know.
So, yeah, there's like, kind of this whole timing hypothesis that has been put out there. But that question is exactly what happens after you're 60 in one day. Well, let's evaluate your whole situation. Let's evaluate your medical conditions, other medications that you're on, your health history, all of that. And more times than not, like you can go ahead and use some form of hormones.
Yeah, and this was the topic of an entire podcast that we had. So we have a whole hour-long episode on just this. But I think the point is that in the Women's Health Initiative study, which apparently is like what we base every freaking hormone opinion on,
right?
They were enrolling women who were average age of 63. They were not putting, 45-year-olds on hormones for the most part. These were average age of 63.
Right.
And these were new starts and they were oral conjugated equine estrogen. So it's just in a lot of ways different than what we're doing now. But what they saw was increased risk for stroke and heart disease. Well, what people took away from that is hormones are bad after 60. Well, no, maybe new starting people on conjugated equine oral estrogen would not be a great idea after 60. But then I feel like what was left out of the conversation is let's take the subset of women who did get on hormones at the time of the menopausal transition, and they had less risk of stroke and heart disease. And so that's where that whole like timing hypothesis comes into play, and that, it is more hormones for most things, for our bones, for our brain, I can't think of something where this is not true. They are more beneficial the earlier you start them.
Yes.
Because they are preventative, like against cardiovascular plaque and against neurofibrillary tangles in your brain and against bone loss and all those things. So the sooner we can get on them, the better. But no, nothing magical in your body happens at 60 that's like, whoop, and now they're risky. It's just that if you didn't start them, by the time you were 60, you already had a whole bunch of bone loss. You may have already had some neurofibrillary tangles and tau protein built up in your brain, and you probably already had some cardiovascular plaque in your heart that may destabilize with oral estrogen. So if you're after 60, and we go through this in that episode, it's not like you're not at all a candidate, but for most people, we would probably not be starting oral.
Right.
We'd probably be starting a transdermal so that we don't have as much of that like clot risk or like cardiovascular plaque. Just you probably need not oral.
Yeah.
There are ways to do it, but it's not an exact no. And then in fact, I love that you asked this question right now, because literally last week, this exact topic was presented at the Menopause Society. They had their big meeting, and a researcher from Case Western did a retrospective cohort analysis based on data from 120 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of data. patient records. And so they looked at comparing menopausal estrogen therapy when started during perimenopause. So before you had even like stopped having periods, like that's women mostly like think about it in their 40s. It's me, like 44, 45 years old.
Yep.
Looking at that, they were looking at breast cancer, heart attack, stroke rates associated with estrogen therapy. And what they found was that perimenopausal women who had used estrogen within the past 10 years prior to menopause had no significantly higher rate of breast cancer, heart attack, or stroke compared with the other group that, either never started it or started it later. They reported that perimenopausal women who had used estrogen for at least 10 years before menopause had around a 60% lower odds for developing breast cancer, stroke, and heart attack versus women who started estrogen after menopause or those who weren't using it ever. So
amazing.
We need estrogen. Our bodies were made to use estrogen.
Yeah. And I feel like there's probably, which I don't know, maybe they weren't looking at it, but we know you lose a lot of your bone within the years leading up to menopause, within the first like 2 to 3 years leading up to menopause. So, I mean, there's tremendous bone benefit there. Estradiol is FDA approved for the prevention of osteoporosis. So,
yeah,
start it now.
Start it young.
That's right.
Tom. So
let's do it.
Okay, next question. I'm paraphrasing this, but we got a question from a 59-year-old who recently started estrogen patch for the last 9 weeks. So, yeah, that's her question. I've been on this estrogen patch for 9 weeks, and I had almost an immediate improvement in my sleep. But now I feel like I'm waking up more. I'm having some hot flashes again. So now what do I do? So, this is basically a question about, okay, I finally took the deep dive and I believe y'all, I'm bought in. The pharmacist gave it to me. I know all my risk. I'm not scared. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's working. And then
yes. And we hear this a lot. I feel like it's kind of the honeymoon phase and then it's over and they're like, it was working, but it's not. So what happens? So early on, your body's like soaking up all of that estrogen. Your receptors are like thanking you. Thank God for giving me some estrogen back. But then as things kind of settle down, your levels may not be like quite where they need to be. So new receptors will be produced, things will kind of level off. And then at that time, usually within a couple of months, that either dose needs to be changed, method needs to be changed, or whatever. So just some tweaks need to be made.
Yeah, and that's where we always follow up our patients, 2 to 3 months after we start them on anything, because we know that this is a super, super common phenomenon. And I mean, most patients don't really care to know the nitty gritty science of it, but I think it's so cool to think that like when we don't have a lot of estrogen around, our body, our cells are smart enough to be like, well, I'm not going to waste all of my, DNA, proteins, and all that making estrogen receptors to put on the cell surface because I don't have any estrogen that's ever coming around. So we just don't need a lot of those receptors. So they down regulate that production. But then as estrogen comes on board, they like start making more estrogen receptors.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool. And so, it may kind of take a little bit that event. They don't just keep making more and more and more receptors forever. Eventually that process kind of levels off, but it's going to take a couple months. And so it may be that, we need to up your dose, or maybe you're not absorbing it. Maybe we need to work on your gut health, or,
detox your liver or something.
Yeah, we can do all of those things. But that's why a follow-up is important. Nobody should be given hormones and just like, here you go, they're going to work great. See you next year for your annual. Like, that's not the way hormones should be prescribed.
Right.
So, and then next question is, do GLP-1s typically help with irregular periods and inflammation? And I love this question because I love GLP-1s personally.
Yes.
And I think the answer really is like, I mean, yes, sometimes they do, but it's like indirectly. Like, obviously, GLP-1s are not made for irregular periods.
Yeah.
But especially like in the PCOS girls, this is where you're going to see this the most. In the PCOS girls, where their whole like kind of process is driven by high insulin and insulin resistance, if you drop that down, you're going to start to unwind all of that hormone dysfunction that happens because of insulin resistance. And then they'll start having regular periods. And this was me. Like, I did this. I mean, before I had my hysterectomy, which was because of an ovarian mass that was benign. It had nothing to do with my periods, but I had PCOS and I never, ever, ever had periods. And then for like a very brief moment, I tried some Manjaro because everybody was doing it and I wanted to know. Sorry, that's my phone. I wanted to know like if it would help with, I was incredibly insulin resistant and I was not trying to lose weight, but I wanted to help with that. And it did. It helped a lot with that. And I started having regular periods.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I don't want these. I wanted these when I was trying to get pregnant. And that's what was really infuriating for me because I already had kids at this point. I was already done with that part of my life. And I'm like, this is probably what I should have done back then. Instead of letting people give me ovulation induction and making me ovulate, I probably should have fixed my insulin resistance.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, we know that they help with that, especially in a PCOS girl. And then yeah, independently, GLP-1s reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. And so all of those like inflammatory cytokines, I mean, there's studies that show this, that inflammatory cytokines are less in people on a GLP-1. And so they'll just kind of that inflammation part of things. But chronic inflammation, I mean, do we need to say it again? Cortisol's a problem, and chronic inflammation messes with hormone signaling and ovarian function. So if you can decrease your inflammation, then yeah, you're gonna help ovarian function too. So I mean, yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of studies that look at like GLP-1s on cycles and LH and FSH and testosterone. I mean, it's all beneficial. So yes, you don't just need to lose a massive amount of weight to benefit from a GLP-1. Like, I'm a perfect example of that. So
love it.
And then this is kind of the last question. If someone has had a hysterectomy with their ovaries and tubes removed but has endometriosis that was found at the time of that removal, or maybe they knew they had endometriosis and that's why they had the hysterectomy, are they advised to avoid estrogen replacement because of the endometriosis risk, or is it okay for them to be on estrogen for menopause?
Yeah, that is a little bit of like a nuanced kind of conversation to have. Obviously, if you're having a hysterectomy, having your tubes and ovaries removed, you're immediately going to be menopausal, right? So then you kind of have to run the risk of like, okay, what happens if I don't take the hormones? X, Y, and Z, all the things. But endometriosis is estrogen sensitive, meaning if there's any leftover tissue, even the little microscopic, because I mean, you've said it before, you can't clean up every single little bit in there. It can kind of wake up those little cells if estrogen therapy is given after surgery.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those conversations where you're like, okay, here's the risk of taking estrogen, but let's talk about the risk of not taking estrogen. Like, if you're 35 and your endometriosis was so bad that it required a full hysterectomy, you are doing a massive detriment to your overall mortality by not taking hormones. And so I think if you've had a total hysterectomy with bilateral ovaries and we got all of the endometriosis that we could visibly see, and we didn't like, oh man, there was some so big on the sidewall all up against the ureter and I just couldn't get it. I mean, that's pretty rare. I mean, it does happen, but if we think we got complete excision, we can't see all the microscopic stuff, but then I think you're in surgical menopause, there's much more risk to not taking hormones, then yes, I think you should use some hormones. I think that maybe we do them differently. Like, right, maybe we need to use topical hormones so that we can have a lower dose. We don't have to have a big dose like we do with oral that we're going to lose some clearance through the liver and all that. We can use lower dose and we can use topical. So we want to just like control your symptoms. Probably like, and normally we're like, we want your level around 100. Maybe in these people, let's get it to 50 and know that we're protecting their bones, but let's not blow it out of the water with estrogen. And then I think there is a lot of evidence in these people that maybe you should combine their estrogen with progesterone, because we've talked about this before. Estrogen's like the gas for all the growth of those endometrial cells or the glands in the lining of your uterus. Progesterone's like the brakes. And so you've had a hysterectomy. So most people are going to tell you don't need progesterone because you don't have a lining of the uterus to protect. Endometriosis was the lining of the uterus growing on the outside of the uterus. So we're trying to put the brakes and downregulate any of that. And so we add progesterone a lot. I mean, even if people have had a hysterectomy, but I think in this situation, it would make a lot of sense. And I would do combination therapy for those girls, estrogen and progesterone, to suppress any, residual endometrial cells. So that'd be my advice, is use transdermal, a patch or a gel, and use progesterone with it. And then monitor your levels. I mean, you don't know how you're going to absorb something. So that's why I think monitoring levels would be important for somebody like this. Like, that way you can know that you're on a low dose of estrogen because you checked your levels. And then monitor for recurrent symptoms for endometriosis. So that would be pelvic pain. You're going to know the symptoms because you probably had them before your surgery. But, pelvic pain, bloating, pain with sex, bowel or bladder type of changes. And then, obviously let your person know if you're experiencing more of the symptoms. Maybe you need stronger type of progestin. Maybe you need to come off or down your estrogen, those kinds of things. So nuanced stuff, but
that's right.
This has been a longer episode, but I love that we were able to kind of get through a lot of these questions, and I love that y'all submitted them. And then, as far as what's coming next, I mean, we've talked about we're launching our Head to Toe Menopause series. We're going to start out next week. We're having Chelsea Presson. She's a nurse practitioner at St. Vincent Neurology Clinic that's located over in the Little Rock Diagnostic Clinic. She's going to be on. She refers those patients a lot, I feel like, mostly in like the migraine space, about like, can we tell if their migraines may be hormonally related and things like that. So we're going to just start at the top. I mean, I guess the very top would have been your hair. So we've done an episode on hair. We may kind of circle back to that, but Chelsea was available next week. So we want to talk to her about neurology, brain, migraine, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then
we're literally just going to take it from there, like head to toe. And so then we'll have an ENT, Dr. Hernsberger.
Yes. I don't know if it's the very next week. I think there may be a week in between.
Okay.
So we may do like some brain fog and some other sort of head type of symptoms. And then, I had a local ENT, Dr. Hernsberger, reach out to me talking about women that he sees that he feels like have a lot of issues that are really because of estrogen deficiency. So he's going to be on to talk about those in like the head, ear, nose, and throat.
Love it.
I know. So I love doing this so much. It's a lot to prepare for, but I love doing it. I love learning. I love coming up here on Mondays. But if this episode resonated with you, or if you have a friend that would like to hear all the answers to all these questions, please share this with them. And let's all just keep talking about menopause every day.
Yes. And just a quick reminder, everything we talk about here is for informational and supportive purposes only and is not medical advice. No doctor-patient or provider-patient relationship is established on this format. Your body is unique, so be sure and talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine.
Yay. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We need more than like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
We're going to follow it. I don't know. This video is going to be there. Y'all go follow it. We're going to get a new social media marketing person and maybe figure out how to do all that. But for now, keep tuning in. We're going to do head to toe, and we'll see y'all next week.
Happy hump day and happy anniversary.
Yeah.